I spend most of my Thursday nights driving. I drop the girl off at home and then I go. I just go anywhere. I need those few small moments where I can feel completely free from everybody. There's a road that stretches around an old garden shop that my friends all worked at for a few years. It started just outside the south of the city, a small road that veered right so silently that I was doing 20 under the limit, just so I could spot it on time. It led past the garden shop and into straight blackness. I've been on the road a few times with some other friends, and I could predict most of the turns and stops before I see them. As I left the light of the city, I flashed on my high beams and made a sudden right onto the road. I must have turned in too quickly. The gravel and dust filled the back window of my car, sort of a dark cloud, taking away all the light from the city behind me for just a moment. The tires lost traction, and I start to veer into a ditch, fortunately saving myself with the only inches it spare. My little Toyota Tercel is not the best thing for dirt roads, but it's enough to get what I want out of it. The road stretches far beyond my sight, fading into a chilling darkness. It has a few houses, small farmlands, and barns sown along it, each with their own twisting paths. The trees above loom over, cracking all the light from the sky above. Long branches stretch towards the ground like fingers pointing. I pick up more and more speed as the road starts to straighten out, watching the edge of my headlights guide my way to a tranquil place, far beyond the worries of mine or any others. Up on the lip of a hill is a spot that overlooks the city, a popular place for many of the teenagers here at the South End, often seen with many couples solidifying their nights, and the occasional group of stoners who like to simply watch things. The road leads up to this place, curving right until the top is reached. As I climb it, I can already see the taillights of 4 or 5 cars, its occupants minding their own business. I see a darker road, far less traveled upon, emerge on my left, avoiding the city watchers. I've never seen this road before, but I figure if I have a full tank of gas and stay 1 hour within the city, what the hell? Might be worth my while to see something I haven't seen before. The road runs directly west and is completely straight. No houses, farms, or barns peppered along its curve. Even the trees have disappeared, opening up the view to a vast farmland and hills on both sides of the road, cutting off the sight of any further land. Perfect. I stay on this road for a long time. My iPod shuffle and much of the music is hitting all the right notes I want to listen to, mostly that of Led Zeppelin. There's nothing like blasting Stairway to shut out all the noise outside. It must have been 20 minutes before I started to worry. The hills on both sides of the car have grown so close to the road that they have turned into walls, blocking any sight around me. A tiny valley that seemed to stretch into infinity. I figured I should just turn around and come back the way I came. I didn't make any turns, so it should be easy for me to follow it all the way back. So I pull over and make a U-turn. I even signaled for it. I don't know why I did, but for a second, that single light caught something that stopped me in my tracks. It was tall, it looked like a man, but it couldn't have. It could have been a bush that the shadows made to look taller, even thinner. I walked there for a few seconds with my headlights on that spot, but there wasn't a thing there. My car kicked into the highest gear and I was sailing. I wasn't going any faster than I needed to be, since there were tons of deer that liked to run in front of things out here, but fast enough to where I was breaking the limit more than I was obeying it. From behind, light flooded my mirror. I couldn't make out who it was at first, but it was definitely headlights, and they were coming closer by the minute. I start to slow down, still keeping momentum in case it might be one of the highway rangers, making rounds on the desert roads. But something told me whoever this person was, they weren't carrying a badge. Closer and closer the car got, gaining on me like they were being chased by something. As the car became clearer, it zoomed past me on the oncoming lane, honking frantically. It could be a couple of kids out for a kegger. I don't know. It didn't really alarm me until I looked in the rear view again. Behind me was a face with no features, pale as paper, staring at me. I didn't move. I didn't even react when the bumps on the road came up. It was just there, like a picture on a screen, staring back at me. I was so frightened that I almost lost control of my car, drifting into both the left and right lane as I tried to grasp myself. I looked behind me, and there was nothing, not a single thing. The air hung fuller than before, almost damp, and every breath that filled my lungs was thick, moist air. It was the same thing as earlier from the turn signal. I'm terrified, pushing down harder on the gas, starting to speed past untouched places on my speedometer. I begin to wonder if this is what the other person was running from, and if they got out. Then I see a dim red light ahead of me, the other car. This time, it is going slower, almost a cruising speed. I don't know if they think they are okay, but if it got to me, then it is most certainly able to get them. I start to honk frantically at the car as I speed past it in the oncoming lane. It doesn't move. I look in my rear view again, and I see something. Not it, but me driving the other car. I start to feel an upset feeling in my stomach, like I'm about to throw up. That couldn't have been me. It couldn't have. I shake my head to compose myself and put the road back into my view. My eyes cleared, and the headlights behind me disappear into blackness. I am finally out of this, and I can start to see the hills spread apart to where they were in the beginning. I let out one laugh at the situation and rubbed the sleep from my eyes. When I opened them up again, that thing stood in front of my car, dark and hunched over, staring back at me with the same non-existent eyes. My wheels catch on the gravel as I try to avoid it, and I run full speed into the ditch, flipping the car over. I begin to think about why I chose this road. There could have been any other. I crawl out of the wreckage with as much strength as I have left, and just before I fall asleep, a Toyota Tercel is driving down the road I just came, blasting Stairway to Heaven. I didn't even bother to scream.